President Buhari's new budget proposal for 2018 is not much different from what obtained in the past, with 7% of the total budget proposal going to the education sector. In 2017, 6% of the 7.3 trillion naira budget was allocated to the education sector, and in the previous year, 6.01%, amounting to 398 billion naira, was earmarked. 493 billion naira, representing 10.63%, the highest in recent times, was proposed in 2014. With all these figures and various interventions made every year, the problems persist, and it appears there is no clear-cut strategy to change the status quo. The question of who becomes a teacher also arises.
As over the years, started to have less respect for teachers, and people did not want to study education. So you had people not applying to college education or going to study in the Faculty of Education at university. So what did we do? In a bid to encourage more people to study education, we lowered the cut-off marks for you to get admission to a college of education or to get to study education in a university. What does that tell you? You have not brought the highest ranking guys to education. You have brought the people that couldn't pass. Now, we worsen matters by introducing what is called the pre-NCE program. The pre-NCE program is targeted at people that had between 2 and 4 credits in WAEC and did not make JAM. So if you say the people that did well in JAM, maybe they are the upper crust, then you lowered and allow another set of people to come in. Then you now lowered so much that people that did not even score to the minimum in JAM, who did not even have 5 credits. Some schools allow people to do pre-NCE with 2 or 3 credits. They now come in. After 3-4 years, they have graduated and they have become teachers. How do you expect them to perform at the level you think they should perform?
If you aspire to read engineering and you don't beat the cutoff, and they say, okay, there are vacancies in education, I say, okay, let me. So when you have an education system whose teacher are not those in the top 10 in the class, why will you not have the Kaduna experience? Days gone by, it is the cream de la cream in the class. I remember, well, it didn't happen during my time, but I remember my parents, my dad, telling me that if you made a good grade in your modern school or whatever, you will be made to remain in that school or posted to another school as a teacher. So, by so doing, you are harvesting the best brains in the class to teach. Today, it is the dregs in our society that aspires to teach. Why? Because there's no motivation for being a teacher. There's no adequate pay, no career advancement, and generally, we don't value our teachers. Whereas in some other climes, the best of profession is the teaching profession.
At the Teachers Establishment and Pensions Office, TEPO, in Lagos, which is responsible for the recruitment of teachers into state schools, the permanent secretary throws light on criteria for employment.
During the NC National Council on Education some years back, it has gone into the policy now that minimum entry point for teachers in primary school should be NCE, and for secondary schools is first degree, B.Ed, that is a degree in education. And if, for example, you don't have that and you are employed, you are expected to go within 2 years for an additional postgraduate diploma in education. When a teacher is employed, he is trained and retrained. That, for example, in Lagos, we begin with induction of teachers, letting them know what are the ethics of the profession they're entering into, what's expected of them, and then we have competency framework for teachers. There are different levels through which you have to go before you are promoted to the next level. In the primary school, in the SUBEB, they had both written and oral. written which was marked, and then oral, you do a micro teaching for us to know whether you can teach these children. Of course, when you are doing the written, the grammar, everything is marked also. So these are the things where we sift and make sure that our teachers are what we expect them to be. And then we don't stop there. We also continue to train them.
Unfortunately, many parents seem to have lost faith in the ability of the public school system to instill knowledge in their children, which was not the case some decades ago.
The school owners, starting from the private schools, are doing their best because they saw a gap in the public system and created a school that will fill in the gaps which the public schools can't provide for people. Many people who are in the government, who are leaders today, went to public school because the public schools were good. They could compete with the then private schools. You couldn't tell the difference between the public and private school. Probably it's when they start speaking English, then you now know that this is from a public school, because the person from the public school will speak naturally. The one from the private school will try to have that cocky kind of English accent. But by and large, the quality of education that was given to them at that time was one and the same. But now we see a lot of disparity. We see a lot of children who can't read well, who can't write, who can communicate. And then when you put them apart with their counterparts from private school, you see the deficiency, and you wonder what they go to school to do. So I think in the private sector, the schools are doing, some schools are doing well. Then what amazes me, particularly in Lagos State, I know that Lagos State has a standard. If you don't have at least a degree in education, you can't teach. You can't teach, you know. So you have more qualified teachers in the public schools than you have in most private, in some private schools.